The Galactic Academy's Combat Theory Examination Hall buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 12 different species took their seats. Admiral Zexon, the Catherion Proctor, stood at the front with his 4 arms crossed, his crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the harsh fluorescent lights. "Today's examination will test your tactical knowledge under extreme pressure," he announced, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had seen countless battles. "You have 3 hours to devise a strategy for defending Station Omega-7 against a Void Reaper assault fleet. The scenario parameters are non-negotiable." Sarah Chun, the only human in the room, sat quietly in the back corner. At 22, she was young even by human standards, let alone compared to her classmates who ranged from the 60-year-old Alarian genius to the 300-year-old Xenocari war philosopher. Her presence here was considered something of a cosmic joke by most of the other students. As Admiral Zexon began distributing the examination materials, Lieutenant Cross, a towering Mandarin with ceremonial battle scars covering his gray hide, leaned back in his chair with obvious confidence. The Valari twins, known throughout the Academy for their hive-minded tactical brilliance, began synchronizing their breathing in preparation. Even Dazes, the typically anxious citation representative, seemed more composed than the human girl, who was quietly organizing her writing materials. "The scenario begins now," Admiral Zexon declared. "Station Omega-7, population 43,000, faces imminent attack by a Void Reaper fleet of unprecedented size. Military assets are limited. Evacuation is impossible. Reinforcements are 72 hours away. Begin." The hall fell silent except for the scratching of styluses on data tablets and the occasional click of alien keyboards. Sarah stared at her screen for exactly 30 seconds. Then she raised her hand. Admiral Zexon's 3 eyes focused on her with visible irritation. "Miss Chun, the parameters are non-negotiable. There are no questions permitted during—" "I have one question," Sarah interrupted, her voice carrying clearly across the silent hall. Every head turned toward her, expressions ranging from curious to annoyed. "Do you want casualties or notes?" The Admiral's mandibles clicked in confusion. "Excuse me?" Sarah stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. "It's a simple question, sir. Are you grading us on acceptable casualty rates? Or do you want to see our tactical reasoning? Because the answer changes everything." Lieutenant Cross snorted dismissively. "The human seeks excuses before she even begins, typical of their species' weakness." The Valari twins exchanged one of their wordless communications through their shared consciousness, apparently finding amusement in Sarah's question. Dazes merely blinked his large dark eyes and returned to his work. Admiral Zexon's exoskeleton shifted color slightly, indicating deep thought. "Explain your meaning, Miss Chun. If you want low casualties, I'll give you the textbook answer. Defensive positions, strategic withdrawals, minimize losses until reinforcements arrive. Very clean, very proper, very expected." Sarah's voice grew steadier as she spoke. "But if you want tactical innovation, if you want to see how we actually think under pressure, then casualties become a tool like any other." The hall had grown so quiet that the hum of the environmental system seemed deafening. Even the typically unflappable Xenocari had stopped writing to listen. "In human military history," Sarah continued, "we have a saying, no plan survives contact with the enemy, but we also have another one. The enemy's plan doesn't survive contact with us either." She walked to the front of the room, her movement fluid and purposeful. Admiral Zexon didn't stop her. His curiosity clearly piqued despite himself. "Every species here approaches warfare like a chess game. Move and counter-move. Calculated risks, elegant strategies." Sarah gestured toward her fellow students. "Lieutenant Cross is probably designing a glorious last stand that will be remembered for centuries. The Valari twins are computing probability matrices for maximum efficiency. Dazes is looking for the compassionate solution that saves the most lives. And you, Miss Chun?" Admiral Zexon asked quietly. Sarah smiled, and for the first time since entering the academy, she looked truly dangerous. "I'm going to win, not survive, not minimize casualties, not create a beautiful tactical masterpiece for the history books. I'm going to destroy every single Void Reaper ship and save every single person on that station. The Mandarin lieutenant laughed harshly. Impossible. The scenario parameters make victory impossible. That's the point of the examination. No, Sarah said, returning to her seat. That's the point of every other species' approach to the examination. You all accept the parameters as gospel. You work within the constraints. You find the best possible outcome within impossible circumstances. She sat down and began typing rapidly on her tablet. Humans don't do that. We change the parameters. We break the rules. We turn impossible circumstances into someone else's problem. The next 2 hours passed in intense silence. One by one, the other students completed their examinations and left, most casting curious glances at Sarah, who continued working with intense focus. By the end of the allotted time, only she remained. Admiral Zexon approached her desk as she finally set down her stylus. Miss Chun, your answer? Sarah looked up at him with tired but determined eyes. 43,000 civilians. 0 casualties. Void Reaper fleet. 100% casualties. Station Omega-7 renamed Station Chun by the grateful survivors. The Admiral's exoskeleton shifted through several colors as he read her solution. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of either extreme agitation or deep fascination. This is either the work of a tactical genius or a complete madwoman. Sarah packed her materials calmly. In human military history, Admiral, those have always been the same thing. As she walked toward the door, Admiral Zexon called after her. Miss Chun, one final question. How did you know I wanted innovation over casualties? Sarah paused at the threshold and smiled back at him. Because, sir, you're not just any proctor. You're Admiral Zexon, hero of the Proxima campaign, the officer who saved 2 million lives by doing something everyone said was impossible. She gestured toward the examination hall. You didn't design this test to watch us fail gracefully. You designed it to find someone crazy enough to succeed. The door closed behind her, leaving Admiral Zexon alone with a tactical solution that would revolutionize galactic military doctrine, and a growing understanding of why humans, despite their apparent weaknesses, had never lost a war. In the corridor outside, Sarah Chun allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. She had done exactly what humans always did when faced with impossible odds. She had made them possible.